Hey friends, welcome back. We are jumping back into some Christmas decorating today, but before we do so, I have a furniture piece that I have been wanting to swap out for a very long time. This little bench with baskets underneath is what we use for shoe storage, and it's super functional, but just wasn't really fitting this style anymore, and quite honestly, I've wanted to switch it out for years. But just hadn't gotten around to it. So I finally found a really beautiful replacement for it. It's a bit smaller, but this little bench I actually found on Amazon. It's got this beautiful green velvet and fringe around the bottom. The perfect amount of space for shoe storage, and it fits in this hallway really nicely. So very happy with this upgrade. It's been a long time coming. Once I get this all set up, we are going to go ahead and jump into all of our Christmas decorating for today. So in the last video, I hung this garland around the archway. I've done this the last couple of years. I love the way that it accentuates this archway, and it's simple but impactful. So I'm just taking some little picks to kind of fill out this garland because the garlands that I used are not super full. And then we're going to add some fairy lights. As you know, I like to use the Velcro command strips to place on the battery pack, and then you place one on the wall, and you can easily tuck lights away anywhere where you may not have access to an outlet. So we're going to add some lights to this before moving on to the next space. So this garland is actually a fresh garland, and I have used fresh garland over here in the buffet nook the last 2 years. I do think I will try to invest in a faux garland to drape up here for next year, because unfortunately I love having fresh garland, at least somewhere in the house, because I love the smell of it. But it doesn't matter how much I try to water and keep this thing fresh. There's a heat source, a vent that blows right next to it, and so we keep our house fairly warm and there's just absolutely no keeping it alive. So I will invest in something else, but I do love the way garlands look draped up here. And then I did a really similar look with the bows as I did to the fireplace this year, which I really love the way they turned out. So because I restyled the china cabinet for Halloween, I'm gonna pull those items out and then we're gonna keep it super simple. I'm just gonna kind of fill the holes in, throw some greenery in here just to give it a festive touch. I'm gonna put a wreath on the front of it, so there's no point in spending a ton of time styling, but pine cones, greenery, just a few things, very easy. You may notice that the red velvet ribbon that I'm using throughout the dining room is a lot brighter than what I used in the entryway and in the living room. So that burgundy velvet ribbon that I purchased this year was completely sold out and I didn't have enough to do the entire house. It was also pretty pricey for that. And so I ended up just using the ribbon that I had from last year in here. It was totally fine. I had some tartan ribbon that had kind of a brighter red in it as well. So it ended up working out fine. And I did actually end up mixing some burgundy into this space as well to kind of tie all of the spaces together. But I know I had some questions about linking that ribbon and unfortunately it's unavailable. They don't even have it listed on Amazon anymore, but I will keep an eye and update it if it does become available. And then the other thing is I really wanted to do a pencil tree in here. I've wanted to have a tree in the dining room for the last couple of years, but all of the trees that we've had are just too big. So what I ended up doing was getting a pencil tree from Lowe's. It was on sale, so we got a pretty good price for it. And I actually kind of set it up in this corner first just because I initially was going to put it in front of the china cabinet. But I ended up just moving my secretary desk and popping it into that little nook over there. And it ended up being the perfect fit for that spot. So very happy that I found this little tree this year. And if I can find it, I will add the link down below for this as well. So the next day I got to fluffing the tree, and then I didn't really have any ornaments or anything in particular that I was wanting to put on here, but I did have a ton of dried hydrangeas that I decided to go ahead and use in the tree. I've seen this done before and I've always thought it was really pretty, so I went ahead and kind of popped these in there. We're also going to add some berry picks, some tartan ribbon, and some little green bows. So I kept it pretty simple. I feel like this tree unintentionally is very New England inspired. That's just what I think of every time I see the tartan ribbon and the hydrangeas. So I love the way it turned out. It's very simple. And the mirror that we put behind it is actually the mirror that will go in the kitchen. But I thought it'd be perfect behind a Christmas tree this year to kind of reflect all of the twinkle lights. So for the piano this year, I decided to use my Norfolk pine garland and some picks. I wanted it to be asymmetrical and I wanted it to be really full and just to have like a really interesting placement. So what I'm doing right now is actually, I was kind of just trialing it out. I laid the garland and the picks on there first, played with kind of the placement of everything, and then I went back in with small zip ties and zip tied it in place. And that actually worked really well for me this year. I always like to put sheet music on the piano. I think sheet music in general makes a really nice Christmas decoration. So if you have just sheet music pages, you could roll up and tie with some ribbon and put into your vignettes. Because of the asymmetry in the swag, the bow ended up being just off to the side of the sheet music, which I thought was perfect. We're going to add some candles, and I have a really special piece of art that's going to go above the piano. So I ended up ordering a ton of prints to put up around the house, and one of them I custom made that is very special to us, which is this silhouette of Jameson. I actually took this picture and made this silhouette a year ago and have been meaning to get it printed. So I finally did, and it's so, so sweet. We are going to get this all cut out, placed in this frame, and then we're going to hang it above the piano. I also got a couple of prints to go behind the Christmas tree and then our gallery wall that we've had forever, and really that was something that I just threw up with stuff that we already had. I wanted to kind of intentionally switch out some prints to make that look a little bit nicer. I wanted to add a couple of things to the mantle to finish it off, and so I used these vintage ice skates that I found last year at the antique store. I love the dark leather, and I think they're placed perfectly here, as if someone came in and needed to dry their skates off and put them in front of the fire. I also made these little ribbon tags for stockings, and I just used my little stamp set to stamp names onto a bit of ribbon. Very inexpensive and easy way to personalize your stockings. Thank you so much for watching. I have one more Christmas video that I'm wanting to get up for you, so I'm working my tail off to get that done before Christmas. I obviously have a bunch of kitchen updates for you, and you should be seeing those soon as well. So be sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you very soon. Bye.